This isn't a ghost story, although there may or may not be ghosts in this story. It isn't a tall tale about the creature that lives in the closet either. You know, the thing that only comes out at night. Disappears in an instant when mommy and daddy check. You see, there's nothing there.
Good night. Sleep tight. Don't worry about that monster in your closet tonight.
Welcome to So Wrong, Strange Occurrences. I'm your host, Josh the Retro Dad. Let's start by talking about the phantom in the room. I called it the Trickster. Oh boy, was it... the Trickster. I'm starting this story sort of in the middle of the book, but it's Halloween. I feel it's the perfect time to explore this thing I called the Trickster. Let's start the mood. It's the year 1990 something. I've dealt with paranormal activity here and there at my home since we first moved there in the late 80s. That good old house at the end of the block. Let's just call it the Multnomah house. I lived upstairs. I had a bedroom and a room next to me. At one time it was my playroom, and it was an exercise room when I was older. I was the only one that lived upstairs. You know, typical stuff that happens in a so-called haunted house. Objects would vanish and be found in the same spot after checking several times, or found in another spot. A few days later even. Then there are items that never returned. It didn't happen all the time. It was sparse. There was something that happened a lot. The Trickster loved to mess with me when I played video games. I think it liked games. There were several times when I find my NES on when I came home from school. I didn't do that. I never left my NES on all day. My dad was at work and so was my mom. My brother would be at daycare or school himself. When I went upstairs to my room, I find the TV on with the NES on, like someone was just playing it. No one was home. Other times it would just be the TV on with creepy static noise like from an old horror film.
They're here.
I'm not sure why he insisted in going upstairs when I wasn't home, but my brother found the same situation often. He would ask me why I left it on. I didn't. My NES was not haunted. The same thing occasionally happened to my Sega Genesis. Maybe it liked Sonic. It got down with Toe Jam and Earl. I bet it loved Street Fighter.
You win!
This thing loved to mimic voices. When I played my games, I'd hear my mother calling me.
Josh.
I'd rush to the door, yell downstairs, "Yeah?" Or "Can you repeat that? Something you wanted?" Or something like that. My response would go unnoticed because it wasn't her. I would go downstairs and ask what she wanted. Her response was, "I didn't call for you." It didn't just mimic my mom's voice. It would copy my dad's and my brother's. Even a little kid.
Hi, Josh.
I was 9 or 10 when I started doing this. That innocent sounding voice wasn't a known voice to me. But I'm getting ahead of myself. That kid voice is a story for another time. Whatever it was, I really liked to practice his voice throwing when I was listening to music as well. Not so much movies, which is kind of odd. Music and games.
Josh.
Eventually, I wouldn't respond back until the third Josh. It would adapt and start calling my name in threes.
Josh.
It liked to show off. I'll talk more about this another time as well. It's a whole other story. We heard footsteps all the time coming from upstairs when we were downstairs in the living room. No one was upstairs in my room at the time. Mysterious footsteps was common. This thing I ended up calling the Trickster liked to play games with me, especially when I played one particular game. It's now the late 90s. I just got back into modern gaming after almost 3 years. All thanks to Resident Evil. I had Resident Evil on the PC and Resident Evil 2 on the PC as well. I didn't have a PlayStation 1 yet. Ultimately, I got a PlayStation 1 and Nemesis for Christmas. It wasn't too long after that I got my PS1 copies of Resident Evil Director's Cut and Resident Evil 2.
What does this have to do with ghost stuff?
Hold on, I'm just getting to that. There are extras in Resident Evil 2. One was huge interest of mine. Fourth Survivor, the Hunk side story. You had to unlock it by beating the game under a certain time and getting an A or S ranking. I wanted to unlock Hunk and get an S ranking. Here is where the Trickster played its tricks. It was a random rainy Saturday. I'd be sitting down all alone in my room, concentrating and playing Resident Evil 2. I would get to the last 25 minutes or so and the power shut off in my room. It was raining good that day. I chopped it up to a power line down or something like that. It came on within a few minutes. I replayed again. Now I'm in the last 20 minutes of the game. I'm doing okay. I was playing better in the previous round. I'm still going to get to my goal. The system restarts. What the hell? Bullshit! I just wasted almost 3 hours doing this run. I quickly calmed down and I thought it had to do with the power going out and mess up the system because of it. Maybe. Stop playing for the day. Hunk would have to wait. The next day I tried again. I'm off to a lousy start. I messed up and died a few times. I restart and re-enter the world of survival horror. I'm doing really well. Better than yesterday. Way better than earlier for sure. I'm speeding through. I'm going to get that S ranking. I come face to face now with Tyrant Mr. X. The system restarts like someone pushed the reset button. No! I'm super pissed. Again, so close. I stopped playing for a few weeks. I tried it again during a break, maybe a spring break or something like that. I didn't play the best and I died. So I restarted. I got my focus and I got my Resident Evil on. I'm not doing too bad, about the 20 mark hits. No problems. I'm at the Tyrant. I destroy him. I look at the system. Nothing happens. I'm still playing. I get to the train. It's going to happen this time. I just know it. The lid to the system comes open. I look at it. The game freezes. Then my name is called from the next room. Once. Josh. Twice.
Josh.
3 times.
Josh.
I shut the lid. I go to the banister and shout, "What?" No one was there. Other games I had no issues. No mysterious restarts. Or the controller magically stops working, only to find it slightly ajar from the plug. Maybe I just pulled too hard. Crash Bandicoot. Spyro. Silent Hill. No problems. Only when I was trying to unlock Hunk or get an S ranking. Something bizarre would happen. I would attempt this mission a few more sadly failed times. Same results as before. I basically gave up and just saved so often I couldn't achieve the results needed. I could beat the game if the criteria weren't met to unlock or get an S ranking. That's the strange thing. It's like it knew and wanted me to know it was doing it. I never did unlock Hunk, at least at the Monoma house. I wouldn't do it till I got Resident Evil 2 on the GameCube and didn't live there anymore. And I look back at the time now, I can't help feel it learned from the original power outage. It saw my reaction, got a kick out of my misery. The Trickster wasn't dangerous, it just loved to play pranks and show off. This wouldn't be the last account of the Trickster, or the other Strange Occurrences I dealt with. Next time, maybe I'll start closer to the beginning of my Strange Occurrences, and not in the middle. This isn't a ghost story. There may or may not be ghosts in this story.
Josh.